it's Rachel here. I'm just going to check this is recording because it's been doing some weird things. Anyway, looks like it is. Today is the 13th of January 2019, so Happy New Year's to everybody. I think this is my first video for the year. I only got back from holiday last week and thought I'd get back into my car unwitnessing, especially since the watchtower in the last today and the last week, and I think for the next couple of weeks, is particularly good for making signs. My sign today says, "Buy truth from Christ, the living truth, and not from 8 imposters in New York." And the word Christ, truth, and imposters, 8 imposters, is all outlined in pink to make it stand out. So I've actually, if you want to see what my car sign looks like, I'll just post the link to a short video, about 3 seconds, to show you what my car looks like. I might have to stop and pause the video at some point because it's one of those weird days where it's sunny and then it rains and it's sunny and it rains, and I've got my windows open and I'm still sweating and hot, so I might have to get up and shut the windows or something at some point. But anyway, yes, the Watchtower study about truth, buying truth. And I think it was last week's study that might have talked about the things that witnesses had to give up in order to buy the truth. You know, they give up holidays, for example. They may give up relationships with family members that perhaps oppose them. Although I believe it's in today's study. I'm sorry, I'm not kind of. I've read the articles, but I get mixed up which week is which. But it talks about not having close relationships or friendships with those who do not love Jehovah. In other words, who are not Jehovah's Witnesses. So anyway, so people, they will give up their relationships. All stuff we've heard before, of course, but I was thinking for many of us, our pursuit of truth, our desire for truth, led to us leaving the organisation. And that's what happened with me and with many others, that when you start reading the Bible without the Watchtower glasses on, and I started doing that at the meetings because they were so boring that I was reading the Bible and looking up the cross references during different parts of the meetings, and you do see fairly quickly that a lot of the teachings, or many of the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses, are not so black and white as they make out, and there's a lot of grey, and some things just outright conflicting with the scriptures. So, you know, for me, my thinking is that anyone who really studies the Bible with an open mind and an open heart, they will want to leave the organisation. Anyway, I was going to talk about some other stuff today too. I was watching the January broadcast. I saw a little bit of it. I saw Stephen Lett's part. Oh my goodness, what planet is that man from? I mean, not only his delivery and his appearance looks out of this world, dear man, but he was talking about a spiritual paradise. And I mean, we've all, you know, as we were either raised in the truth, I don't usually say that, raised in the organisation, or came into it, we were taught that it was a spiritual paradise amongst the brothers and sisters in the organisation, and that you wouldn't find that anywhere else. So Stephen Lett was going on and on about how wonderful the spiritual paradise is, and sort of finding comparisons between things in the garden with things in the organisation, like he said, the trees were the people, that sort of thing. And one thing that really bugged me was that he said that in the garden there were no ferocious animals or beasts. You know, all the animals were peaceful with Adam and Eve, and he likened that to the organisation, saying that there are no ferocious or fierce animalistic men in the organisation. But that's not true, is it? We've seen with all the pedophilia accusations and confessions, you know, brothers in particular, probably some sisters, actually confessing to sexual crimes against children. And this goes on in the organisation, and I'd liken those people to fierce beasts that prey on the vulnerable, you know, like the lion that preys on the poor little straggling babies at the back of the herd, you know. And it, you know, not too long ago there was a ex-witness who was talking publicly about her child sexual abuse, and Stephen Lett was a personal friend to her family and to her father, and her father actually wrote to Stephen Lett about her case. So it's not like Stephen Lett doesn't know that there are monsters in the organisation, and that the monsters are sometimes treated better than the victims, with more consideration than the victims. It's their reputations are considered more than the victim, with this two witness rule. So he's truly just got such warped thinking and in his own little bubble world. I just wonder how far removed from reality that those men in Warwick really are. But yeah, him talking about the spiritual paradise, I mean, what kind of spiritual paradise is it with those kinds of people? And I mean, we hear of all sorts of wrongdoing by witnesses in the news, in crimes, murders even. I mean, not often, but you do hear of them. And it really, you know, talking about the spiritual paradise, it really fosters a real sense of trust and naivety. You know, when I became a witness in my mid-20s, I believed all the stuff about the spiritual paradise and that people were all loving, and you know, I wouldn't believe that you'd find anyone in the organisation that would hurt a child or steal or evade taxes or anything like that. I was so naive. I just swallowed it all. Oh yeah, something else that I thought of when he was talking about the spiritual paradise was that movie that they made. It was probably a few years ago now, I don't know, maybe 3 years, that The Prodigal Returns, that you can find on their website or on their broadcasting site. And you know, it's talking about a young brother who moves in to live with another brother in the city, and this other brother has a job in some kind of corporate office, and he gets him a job there. And so this brother, Al, was supposedly in good standing in the congregation. You know, he wasn't a disfellowship brother or anything like that. Anyway, when this young man decided to move to the city and take up this job, his fleshly brother said that's one shark-infested ocean that he wouldn't want to swim in. Talking about the corporate world, infested with sharks. And in my mind, I thought, it looks more like the organisation is infested with sharks, because this brother who got him the job in the city also got him into trouble too there was even a police chase, and it was all because of this supposed brother in the congregation. So yes, there are sharks in the congregation, and there are sharks outside of the congregation. So anyway, my brain's doing a bit of a blank today. Do you like my hair? Oh, yeah, something else that just really hacks me off lately too is, you know, the use of the word apostasy and apostate. Even ex-witnesses talk about sometimes apostate websites, and I sort of think, well, what is apostate website? How do you know when you switch the computer on that and go to a site that it's apostate? How do you know that straight away? You know, and I remember reading a magazine, Watchtown magazine. It was from the 80s, I think, and it said, it was warning brothers and sisters, if you get something in the mail and you open up and you see straight away it's apostate material, then don't read it. But how do they know if it's apostate material until they read it? Is it just that anything, it seems that anything that is negative about Jehovah's Witnesses or opposes them or criticises them in any way gets labelled apostate, and therefore it's all untrue and lies made up by bitter, angry people who have not lived up to the requirements of the organisation or of the Bible and have been thrown out, you know. It's just crazy. And sometimes I find ex-witnesses talking about apostate websites in the same way. Like they talk about, you know, perhaps reading something on Wikipedia or reading stuff somewhere else, but they say, but I didn't go to any apostate websites. Well, what do they mean? How do you know it's apostate until you've looked at the material and looked to see if it has any validity, if it's you know, factual, if it can be proven? I mean, how can you just label something from the outset as apostate just because there's some criticism in it, or just because the person behind it is used to be a witness, or is, you know, perhaps never been a witness, or just opposes religion, or what? I mean, how do you know? How do you know it's apostate? It really just gets up my goat. It really does. It's annoying. It's a word I don't really like to use very much, because it could mean different things to different people, and it's, yeah. Anyway, as my brain is freezing, it's probably because I'm too warm, and I might just end it here. But have a good new year, everybody. Well, we're already 2 weeks into it. I hope it's going to be a really good year. Yeah. Anyway, see you later.